Hello, everyone. Good day, and welcome to your April energy update. So, this April energy update is going to be kind of a little bit of a repeat of the part of the last week of March, plus also a continuation of some of March, because we are traveling through what we call like that Holy Week. We're traveling through the energy of the Holy Walk of through Heaven's Gate as well. We have this Heaven's Gate energy that's open. We have a lot of things that have happened or that are shifting that we kind of haven't seen happen in a very long time. And so it's like kind of really new to us kind of energy. And we have a lot of energy that we can start accessing that we have not been able to access in a few years. As we come into the full moon on the 5th, the 6th, like the actual full moon, I believe, hits on April the 6th. This is when there's a sense of it is in Libra, but on the opposite side of that, because of course the sun is in Aries. So on the opposite side of that, or in between that, somewhere around that, somewhere, I don't know where exactly, but there is that sense of Chiron there as well. And so there is a completion, but I said yesterday in my live that I did yesterday on YouTube and Facebook. So Sunday, April the 2nd, I did a live. So you can go back and listen to that as well, because it also includes some of this message. It's like bleeding out everywhere. I feel like there's like tricklings of this message everywhere that you look. So there is there is a graciousness that I pick up with this. And it's not always nice that, Libra to me can sometimes represent that sweetness, right? There's a sweet spot, or there's a kindness, or there's a graciousness to it. But there is also a bitterness. And so there is an energy that I'm also picking up that speaks about our shame stories. And with Chiron here, it's like bringing to an end our sense of existing in our shame stories. Like we should not be shamed for just being us as humans. We are not responsible. So that statement, it is on us. We are fully responsible. We are not responsible for everything that is happening in the world right now. So as we bear witness to weather patterns and we see things that are happening, that is happening greater than what is happening here on Earth. Remember this: Earth is a planet in the universe, like within the atmosphere of all that is. So where those planets are, what's happening out there, we exist out there as well. So who puts space junk out there? Not us, right? Who moves the planets? who opens up these black holes? Who brings through these asteroids and so on? And this is some of the information that was coming with that big asteroid energy that I was receiving. And it was the existence that, look beyond the statements and the stories that we are being told, or that we have told ourselves for years, that lead us to blame and shame, and being able to move beyond that. So it's like, really, are we fully all responsible for what is happening? And, I'm no scientist, I'm no doctor, I'm no nothing, but this is what the consciousness is giving me. They're telling us to look deeper so that we stop existing in shame stories, or shaming ourselves, or using shame as a motive to market, to sell, to create, because those old narratives are not, it doesn't fit into that sense of the future. And if you've ever been able to astral travel, if you've ever been able to really truly place yourself into the future, so someone like myself who's a seer, as a mystic, I can put myself forward or back and exist in that consciousness. You can call in like the worst version of yourself. So you can call in your version that is like lazy, that is tired, and say, you know what, force me to sit down right now. Or the one that is that child who didn't really accept the things that they were being told, and asking why. Call in that child who used to say, but why? But why? But why? Tell me why. Tell me why I have to accept that. Tell me why I have to believe. Why? And accept it's not just, oh, because somebody said. or that's somebody's opinion, or that's somebody's view, or that's perspectives. And so when we look deeper, and so we are seeing it today on April, I think this is the 3rd, and it's a Monday. I believe there is, like, today is the day around this time of when there's a lot of things that are rolling out and rolling back in that take us into a part of the agendas. So there is new agendas that are being presented on the plate to us, as if to say you have no other choice but accept it. And so we are being forced into an energy, a time of just being forced to accept things. This is it. You got to take it. Why? But why? But why? But why? And so with that, sometimes that childlike energy was more correct than the forcing. Why do we force children to eat peas? Why do we force children to eat corn? Why did we force children to eat GMO? Why do we force kids to eat whatever you serve on a plate if their bodies are saying no, 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 no? What if that soul inside that child was still able to guide that child more than what our minds have been able to do to us as the adults, right? So that connection to home, to the soul, to consciousness, it may have been still so much greater than what we have now. Why why were we forcing children to eat that stuff when now we're telling no one to eat that stuff? It's like, we should probably think about things. We should probably process things. We should look beyond. And so there's coming an energy and a time that is appearing to us right now in everything, in the reasons why we're going to really truly listen to our old language that we use. You need to do this right now. You need to get yourself out of that. You need to move beyond that. You need to do this right now. And ask yourself, why am I accepting this? Or what if there is another way? So there's old language that activates or triggers the old emotional response. And as we're moving forward, as we're getting ready to really truly, I feel like, be a part of something that we need to bear witness to remember the importance of why we were given free will. Why we were given free will, and why we were given the ability to speak for ourselves. Why we were given the opportunity for us to be able to move our own body ourselves, not somebody else move us. Why we have imagination, why we have the creativity, why us creative brains, like us that operate in the creative part of our brain, that are creative children, why we do what we do, why we think the way we think, us that are, that are connected into spirit world, why we're like we are, is because we were designed to be authentic, to be individual, to be a part of the unity, is not to be so controlled. And so where are you allowing sometimes the past patterns and behaviors? Because sometimes some of the patterns and behaviors we're here to break is not to repeat the way we would have done things, the way we would have done things in relationships in an old way, the way we would have done things. Sometimes we've been so conditioned to run, to respond from survival, from a fight or flight. You need to get moving now. You need to go now. So fear, insecurities, doubt about ourselves. When we can learn to honestly come into a place of understanding what it means to have trust and to restore that sense of faith within ourselves, is that we know that we can trust ourselves to be able to respond to things. So if we were given all truth, all sides of things, if we were invited to see all things, that when we're in a calm state of being within ourselves, we can look at it, we can explore it from that adult and question ourselves, why did I believe that? Why am I accepting that? Why am I allowing that? And what do I really believe? What do I really need? What do I really want? And so that we can really truly move forward. And so nobody causes us to emotionally feel the way we feel. Nobody makes us feel in a specific way. We find that emotion within ourselves. And so if it's if it's something that has been the place that you travel, right? And so in neurolinguistics programming, we travel those pathways, right? We create the path, we create the the pathway, and that's the pathway that leads us forward. And we create our stories based on that narrative. So as we move into this month, as we're moving forward into this month, we are activating and bringing back online more of that sense of just, gracious to be alive, gracious to be existing in this world. Childlike energy says, I just want to feel alive again. I just want to feel like this vibrancy within myself. And that includes, oh, my poor little doggy, not being so attached to having to respond to the world based on our old ways of responding, including in all areas, in relationship, in personal development, in all of those places. And so there is no specific way to be. There is just the way back. And so a huge part of this and everything that is created through my More Than Existing, the whole programs, all of the programs, everything is all based around being able to trust your own free will, that we can all have different views. People always ask me about, what kind of people come in, or I don't like your woo-woo. And I'm like, it's not about the woo-woo. It's truly about questioning yourself. It's about breaking up with the version of you. It is not about one specific thing. It is about the essence of restoring the sense of integrity, healing the instinctual self, so that you can trust your own self, so that we can calm that self, that we can come to that place to not be so hyper fixated. And so we have a lot of this hyper fixation that has been existing, and that has been kind of like scraping at it to be like, it's like the energy of the world is like scraping and just saying, get yourself focus on this, focus on that, look at this, look at that, and activating that fear. And so that calm state of being, that state of being present with yourself in the power of, as we spoke of last week, understanding that to be present is to be in the presence of the I am. I am present in your moments. I am present. It is the awakening, the giving birth to of the sense of that divine essence of self. There is a strong sense of the beautiful, angelic, ancient council that is with us, that is bringing in the wisdom, the information, the ability to communicate from a place of a more radiant being, a more joyful sense of self. Nobody brings you joy and nobody brings you happiness. That is, so joy is created from within. And that state of being, right? Happiness or sad. It's like, oh, well, you just made me sad, or that just made me sad. No, I didn't like that. I don't like that. That doesn't align to me. I prefer not to engage in that. I prefer not to be a part of that. But all the emotions and that come are all based upon us. And so it is anger. It is, it is that sense of disheartenedness. What is really happening? What are we experiencing? What are we going through? And so we're here to lean into this sense of being gentler, like speaking to yourself. Like, I said last night in my live, I'm like, my dad spoke to me in a way, my dad speaks to me in a way, if he calls me like, honey, happy birthday, honey. It was my birthday Saturday. And he's like, happy birthday, honey. Or he'll say, have a good day, sweetie. And he uses this loving language, and it's authentic to him. And it's how he truly, and it's how he communicates, how he like that he does. I am that special to him. I do mean that much to him. But he is my father, but that's the role he plays. But the bond and the soul connection is deeper than that. And so not everybody who appears to be a specific way, right? Not just because they have the role as a father or, the dad in someone's life, it doesn't mean that they're capable or able to give that expression the same way, or that they're capable at all. So it's like recognizing that within ourselves, right? And so the relationships that we have with people are often based on those spiritual contracts, those soul contracts that we have with with other beings that we meet in this life. Sometimes they're challenging, sometimes they're questionable, sometimes we're here to evolve them. Sometimes we're here to let go of the attachments that we have based on all the narratives of how we were told to exist in this world, and to build a new way to be in relationships, and a new way to explore how we interact with another soul here on earth, with the soul that exists within another human. So there's a lot that's evolving, there's a lot that's changing, and there's a lot that's coming up. And so as you go through this, as you move through this month, there will be a lot of moving pieces. We have April the 11th, which they call, and it's being talked about everywhere. So it's not, this is not something that I've channeled. It is like the luckiest day. So it's a few days before, the few days after, it's like the luckiest day of the year. And so that luckiest day of the year, it's not that everybody's going to win the jackpot, but because it contains a lot of really powerful energy, is that it gives you the opportunity to use that energy for your benefit, to take advantage of taking, like, leaping into something, or choosing to make that the day that you really truly communicate something without any desired outcome of, of what happens or what the ending shall be, but just having faith that it's going to be it's going to be the right ending or the right beginning that's going to just take you into take you to a next level, or take you to that next place, or take you on that next journey, whatever that may be. But there is a lot of luck around there that's coming up for us. So I just feel like there is something happening. We also have a solar eclipse in this month. And we have the spring, we have the solstice coming up as well. No, did we just have the snow? We just had solstice. We have the new moon. Where did that just come from? I'm like, what was that? Where'd that just slide in? I'm like, whoa, we have a new moon, right? That is going to be also around that. I want to keep saying solstice. It's also going to be around this eclipse. So we are back into eclipse. We also have a lot of that solar flare energy that I keep seeing happening still a lot of weather patterns. We have a lot of tornadoes that are just like rising up, that are taking place. And to really truly look at it from beyond, and something is happening, something is turning, something is evolving. Like I said, when that asteroid went by, it opened up something, and I could just see this opening. But I also, it's like, we're not as big as a problem. We're not as big of a problem as the problem that's being created by the people who's wanting us to believe we are the problem. Know that. But we have a lot that's going to be shifting and turning. Times are going to be moving. Feels like things are moving very quickly. It's going to be very aware of being sideswiped this month with the unexpected, because there is some unexpected things that are also happening. It doesn't mean bad or good. It's just unexpected. So there is something very unexpected that's in this energy also. And so auspicious, right? There's this very auspicious-y time as well that's there. And I just keep seeing that arrival, like we're arriving at a time of when we can start to break new ground. So there's breaking new ground. It may be a time of when you're experiencing finally making big commitments to something. It might be a big commitment in a relationship. It may be a big commitment in making a choice to finally make a move, or to decide to go back to school, decide to do something new. But there's something I have also been observing by being an observer, is that you're seeing people starting to settle back in. People are searching and seeking a lot of things over the past few years, and you're starting to see people return to the humans workforce, the place where we need to also be, right? There has to be that existence. I spent 30 years in that workforce, and I absolutely loved it. Would never ever say I didn't love what I did. And I was a business owner of a salon and spa, and all of those things. And I loved being in the presence of going to work. I love being with people. I love doing all of that kind of things. And I think there is a need and a desire for us to get back into that world, for us to start building up that world as well, because it also brings us back into a time of when, I know we've been really being sold that whole, you don't have to go to work. Nobody needs to be taught. It's not being tied down, but it's also a new way of existing in the job. Like also seeing a lot of changes, but also a need to build community through workplace, right? Build those relationships through the workplace. And so I feel like there's a call coming back in like April, and it's like, oh, we got to wait till September, or we got to wait till summer's over. No, we've probably had like 4 summers now, 3 summers. And it just feels like there is a need for us to be active in community in those ways, like getting back into the workplace, getting back into like having that sense of contributing somehow for many things. Part of me would love to be able to go back out there, but there's a whole part of me that can't go back out there. And so this is going to be times are changing, but times are also coming back into how we circulate the energy of money. Also, I think there's going to be a big push-pull in the financial area. You're going to see high cost, especially coming up in the May, June, July, like extraordinarily high when people who are millionaires decide the cost of what average people should pay. Right? It's like if you've never ever been average in, you know, in the middle class, it's amazing how you can dictate to a middle class, but you have never existed in there. Right? It's like, so there's a lot of that kind of energy where that not having no ability to comprehend or to understand is going to cause some sort of chaos or some sort of divide that then has a collapse. I'm like, you need the middle. The middle is important. And I'm all about the middle right now. I'm at middle age, but everything I'm channeling, and I can't give out all that information right now because it's not all downloaded, but there is the power of this middle and where we have been and what we've been experiencing. And so we've been in somewhat of these pause times. So there is a lot of changes happening this month, a lot to really, a lot to pay attention to, a lot to take advantage of. There's, you know, graciousness is to be, you know, the sense of being very thankful. There is, you know, to be very thankful for our people in our lives, to be thankful for ourselves. You know, we've as individuals, you know, look at where you have been, look at what you have been through, look at what you've experienced, look at the things that you've done that other people may only wish to have done, but you've achieved or you've done. We've probably done great things, but we've been looking into the reflection of comparison, and it awakens this eye of envy. And so we've had this eye of envy, which is not the God eye, that has been dictating, that has been the reflection of a lot of things. I want that. And so we've been living through the comparison of, you know, social media, of those places, and wanting to recreate that, or creating that imposter. There's been a lot of the imposter like imitation, false sense of reality, you know, lots of illusions. And so we're going to see the collapses of those illusions. You're also going to see big impacts and influences of, in not always in the greatest ways, through social media. I feel like you're going to start to see some exposure in all areas. You're going to see a lot of exposures happening. So there's just a lot of things that's happening. And sometimes when we can see all areas, and it's still, like I said, we're seeing that masculine energy kind of, the veils of illusions dropping down around there, so there can be great healing. And I'm going to say this to you, and I've been getting this all morning. And I don't mean for a woman to do this alone, but for, you know, give. And I heard this, and it has hit me so hard. Usually the only time I heard this on somebody's video, and I've been feeling this sense of, you know, we put a lot of expectation on the role of the man, and that's been coming up a lot in the healing. So then I heard this statement, and it literally was a gentleman who was giving men flowers. And he said and every time he'd give them flowers, what he says to them is, usually the only time that a man will be given flowers is at his funeral. And why do we wait to give a man flowers at his funeral? Why have that? Why have we turned our masculine energy into something that it is not? Why have we created it to be this presence that it literally causes such angst and anxiety and such pressure on men that it literally affects so much of who and what they are, that we place that on them? And it's like they're supposed to receive less attention or less love or less anything. And now don't worry, I'm not going to go all masculine on us here, but we have to create the balance here. And so it's not going to be equal, it's about balance, right? And so that sense of touching the hearts and connecting to the hearts, this is about heart alignment and heart aligning to the mind, and just questioning some of the things that we do, so that we don't have to soften it, we have to be kinder, right? So there is a level of graciousness, thankfulness, to be, I appreciate you, I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate the people that are in my life. So this is a month of great appreciation. This is when we start to come into a time of rise again. We are coming into Holy Week. We are in Holy Week. We have a lot of happening. This is when we literally come into Easter, and we have our rise again experience that's going to be happening again. And this is huge for me as I channel Jesus and Mary. And so there is a lot of this energy, which will be included in the weekend report, the weekend energy update. But appreciation, and including in that, appreciate you, appreciate where you have been, appreciate that journey. And if you want to join me this week on Wednesday, April the 5th at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, you can go to my website, CorrieThorne.com, and you can sign up and register for a online Zoom interactive webinar, which it's a workshop that is about intuition, and it's about connecting to your intuition, or enhancing your intuition, and working with your angels, and remembering to work with those angels. So it's 90 minutes and it's $55 Canadian. And then next Wednesday, I will be doing a connection to spirit live group reading, and that is also online. And then the end of April, there is a new workshop coming out. It is one of my master classes that I teach, and it is the mystical realm. And that one is connecting to the dragon energy and the elements. So, but this Wednesday, April the 5th, you can join me. You can come in live and interactive. If you want to spend more time, you don't have to have any experience. You don't need to have to know anything about angels. It's about being in the power of that energy. It is also the full moon energy. So there will be meditation. There'll be deeper connections, and just learning that, you don't have to be an intuitive. You don't have to work in this world. It is about knowing that the power of being able to trust you, your first thought, your first response, your first answer. There is such truth in this, and we beat ourselves up so many times about the things that we say no to in the beginning, or we say, this is not working for me, and then we go against it. So we go, and then we're almost pulling back and apologizing for us. So a lot of this shifts and changes, so that we're, why I'm teaching these workshops right now is so you can learn to just trust you and build up that sense of safety within you. We are safe to trust ourselves to be able to make some really good choices and decisions. And we need to start remembering that again. Much love. If you like these videos, please subscribe. I'm very thankful to always be here. Please subscribe. I'm trying to get my numbers up on YouTube. And that's true. That's authentic me. Much love. Have a beautiful week or beautiful month. And I will see you again on the weekend's report. Bye-bye.